So welcome everyone. I'm Alexander Mihalcea, and today we have of one of the industry leaders, Sameer Aasht, founder of Almamater. Welcome, Sameer. How are you being
I
doing?
very good, all good. Yes,
Awesome, awesome. So I'm excited to have you on the podcast today, and I'm sure you're going to be of great value for the audience. But before we dive right in, could you give us a quick overview of what Alma Mater does?
surely. So we are a brand consulting firm, which is focused on communicating and creating value for all the planet-loving brands. So essentially, we enable journeys right from the concept to the execution, to valuation, to raising funds, and multiple other aspects, which allow for planet-loving brands to achieve success. And a lot of times, we do come across brands which are having existing lineage and having existing legacy platforms which they are wanting to contemporize and make them more planet loving. So we also collaborate with them in enabling their journeys towards being more environment friendly, achieve better ESG scores, and go about being a lot more friendlier to the environment and the world. Yeah.
Okay, that's really fascinating. And what inspired you to create Alma Mater? What's their specific moment or experience that sparked this journey?
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of our earlier assignments used to be in pure play brand consulting and design and strategy and advertising and communication. And I've worked in those domains for about a decade and a half. And while I was exploring a lot of those, I felt that the day every company, be it large or small, starts being more conscious and more sensitive towards what the world needs in the future and what it needs to be done today, we would have a lot happier and a better place. So
Yeah,
that essentially is what helped us be more in sync with our value system, find a purpose, and go about enabling the purpose for those who are committing to those kind of value systems. Yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
And for example, what was your background before starting this venture?
So I have been through an eclectic mix of basic profiles, right from sales to marketing to design to accounting to finance to technology, programming. So I have dabbled with a lot of careers and a lot of possibilities in life before I chose to stick to being in the world of branding. And that is what I feel I'm most happy doing, and I find greater joys in. And of course, branding combined with planet loving initiatives and planet loving companies and planet loving creations goes about making it even more powerful for me. And that's what we have an agenda of enabling brands, and hence we have a call of grow soulfully. So
Yeah,
we go about ensuring that we are not just enabling growth, but we are enabling soulful growth.
right, right,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Interesting, interesting one. And for example, how do you define what makes a business truly planet friendly?
Sure. So you see, there are multiple ways of enabling and defining as to what makes a business planet friendly. There are a lot of complex calculations and metrics which a lot of companies globally deploy. But we try to make it a lot more simple. We try to focus on very, very easy things to deploy purely because we feel that the more complex and the more troublesome and the more hassled anyone feels while going through their journey towards being planet loving, the more likely they are to not go for that kind of a journey,
Right.
right? So which is where we are looking to make it a lot more simpler. And how we make it simpler is by ensuring that we have a very simple metric, which is the first one. It's a 3 point metrics. The first one being how biodegradable can you be in all
Right.
your endeavors, be it from the supply chain standpoint or from the demand generation standpoint, the logistics standpoint, and all the other elements that are part of the journey of your core business as well as your extended business. So biodegradability is one of the best criteria to be planet loving in our view. So for example, if there are people who are using packaging and they're using
Right.
plastic bubble wraps and they switch from plastic bubble wraps to a lot more craft paper, which is equally resilient, equally effective in ensuring and giving protection. then that kind of a thing ensures that they are first taking a step towards being biodegradable in the packaging side of things at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, they could go about ensuring that instead of using the regular vehicles, which are petrol or fuel or diesel or fossil fuel based rather, they could switch into being more of a fleet of electric vehicles for their distribution, for their logistics, for even the partners that they are choosing to do the last mile delivery. If they switch to an electric fleet, that again adds to ensuring that they are reducing their carbon footprint, they are reducing their biodegradability quotient,
Right.
right? So biodegradability has a lot of choices to be made, and a lot of the choices are fairly simple versus tougher and complex. But a lot of
Yeah.
times, the existing systems are such that they are so attuned, so trained into being a choice maker of such sourcing that they don't realize that it's so easy to switch into biodegradable materials, right?
Yeah.
The second one is to do with recyclability. You see, now a lot of times it is fine if we cannot get into 100% biodegradable orientation. We have to make choices. For example, if we are dealing with liquids, we do
Right.
have to have ways of ensuring that the liquid is protected. It doesn't leak. It does not get damaged in transit. It does not have a lot of issues while it's getting into a series of smaller packs and larger packs, and it reaches the final user in the right quality and the right state. Or for that matter, let's say medicines, they again need certain protective packaging to be happening. Food again needs special packaging to be happening. Uh, it also needs a certain cold storage and certain logistics partners and other supply chain to be sorted. So in such cases, when we are getting into using the non-biodegradable aspects, we recommend getting into and helping them identify people who will make it more recyclable. And thankfully, there are a series of ways of being more recyclable today and
Mm-hmm.
upcycling today and ensuring that whatever we are consuming is not straight away going into a dumping ground, and it actually gets sorted, it actually gets brought back into the system and has brought to either a closure and gets completely dissolved or deleted, diluted, or completely
Yeah.
recycled. Yeah, so all of those is what we enable for prospective players and brands and companies and even individuals or communities which are trying to become more planet friendly. So
Right.
recyclability is the second criteria. The third criteria is actually the carbon footprint. Now, that is
Mm.
actually the most complex of the lot because there are too many metrics and too many elements and too many point of views which have made carbon footprint itself a very subjective territory. You see, now carbon footprint is not just about whether you are having ways of ensuring that uh, recyclability is taken care of or biodegradability is taken care of, but carbon footprint is a sum total of a lot of other elements as to how
Mm.
you produce, how you distribute, how you get consumers, how you go about ensuring that your product is brought back to life or rejected or accepted. So there are multiple series of such elements which are it's a complex criteria. So as of now, I'm excluding those carbon footprint metrics from our conversation, but and also it has got a lot of loopholes to it. You see now,
Yeah.
a lot of times carbon footprints can be set off through carbon credits, and carbon credits can be bought. So, for example, if you have polluted, a particular industry has polluted, they have gone about buying credits from another industry or another setup which is not as polluting or has offset the damage by doing an equivalent number of plantations or treatment of natural water or potable water. So there are various ways of handling the carbon footprint element of it,
Right. Right.
and hence continuing to pollute. But the compounded effect of carbon footprint cannot be handled by just such measures. It has to be sorted by real biodegradability and real recyclability. So, which is why carbon footprint is the least preferred of the
Yeah, yeah,
planet
yeah, I see.
friendly orientation and solution. These put together, there is also something which is in vogue, which is ESG, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is environment, societal, and governance norms. Now, ESG again goes beyond the environment element of it. It goes into the society. It goes into the governance. However, unfortunately, majority of the ESG norms today are 50% of the ESG norms and the metrics which govern whether the ESG score is good or bad or not sufficient or sufficient, they are getting governed by purely governance and compliance to the governance measures.
Yeah,
So that is where scoring is not as tough as it should be. Ideally, the environment and societal uh, values and the metrics should be the ones which are having greater proportion to the ESG components. But uh, right now, a lot of ESG is non-environment, non-society driven. It's more driven with the elements of governance alone. So governance, for instance, if you're filing your accounts and your audits and your reports on time, then you're getting good scores in governance. If you're
yeah,
having directors which are complying with the norms and doing the right level of annual general meetings and quarterly meetings and also you're still getting the right level of governance. So it's not as in sync as it should be with the environment orientation or the planet loving orientation. So which is what makes ESG a little more, you know, good to have, but in our view, not a high impact driver.
right, right, right.
So that said, once we have done these kind of understanding of what the business is, what the brand is, where are the opportunities, how do we make it a better zone, all these put together help us enable the brand and its story.
Yeah,
Because if the brand and the story are having gaps at a factual level, then we've got to get the facts to be fixed before we start narrating the story. Because thankfully, the younger audiences like yourself are today a lot more conscious. They are a lot more um, involved and a lot more stringent in what they expect of brands, of companies, of communities,
yeah,
of organizations, of nations for that matter. So, thankfully, with the kind of sensitivities which are there amongst the younger audiences today, it starts being a lot more advantageous for brands to not just create hollow narratives or
right.
do greenwashing, but to create real narratives with real campaigns and a real lot of you know impact driven creations and solutions. And that
Yeah,
is what is our uh, area of focus as to whatever maybe the business, be it from electric vehicles to healthcare to wellness to pharmaceuticals to design to industry to technology, finance, fintech, or consumer tech and clean tech. We worked across multiple categories and multiple industries. How do we ensure that the narrative is not remaining at a hollow storytelling, but it has
mm-hmm.
got real substance and real action, which ensures that it evolves. We understand that majority of the companies may not be able to completely go 100% planet loving, which is a fact. However, it is a journey. If today there are companies which were 100% non-planet loving and highly damaging, and if they start being 90% instead of 100%, then that also is a good step forward,
Right,
right? So it is more about being transparent as well and being able to communicate that how it starts being
100%.
of relevance, right? I
Yeah,
hope this gives you a good flavor of what all we do and
yeah,
how we do it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I see, I see, I see.
great, great.
So now let's go back to when you first started. So, for example, what major challenges or gaps did you see in the market that made you think this needs to be solved?
See, when we first started, we ourselves were not sure whether there would be enough of acceptance to this kind of brand consulting because brand consulting had always been focused on, creating new identities, creating new logos and branding and packaging and communication and advertising and creating social media and websites and getting into e-commerce and apps and those kind of regular forays alone. It was not having an orientation or an acceptance of a layer of being plant loving. However, we wanted to make choices because
Mm-hmm.
it was always attractive for us to also step into say that, okay, let's do some greenwashing and work with a few more such
Yeah.
brands which are okay with, you know, paying us some more and creating hollow narratives, etc. But we made a conscious choice saying, no, we will work with genuine brands and we would want to support people who are really trying to make a difference in the world. And it's okay if they are at a nascent stage. It's okay if they are not so evolved. It's okay if they are not having the perfect, you know, setup and they are not the highest paying clients for us for
Right.
that matter, right? So we had to make all of those choices. Our partners, our team members had to make certain sacrifices as well to ensure that over a period we are able to cater with the right value system.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot
Okay.
of times, making choices around value systems always comes with certain tougher journeys compared to keeping the value system aside and saying that, okay, just let's pursue profits.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
our case, it was about, of course, we have to be profitable, but how do we be profitable with our value system staying intact, with our
Right.
purpose staying in the right place, with our heart not getting compromised for uh, the immediate gains. So, so a lot of times, although we went out with the right intent, we
Yeah.
net, did not meet a similar intent back. However, if we change our intent, then the very reason for us to choose this path
Yeah.
would not hold meaning anymore. So which is why, despite all the hardships, despite all the challenges, and at times we would not say that we were always believers and always born perfect, etc. We also went through our highs and lows. We also went through our struggles, and we also went through our series of internal challenges and conflicts, and at times pressures to ensure that day on day and month on month we were able to meet the expectations. And a lot of times people felt that we are pursuing something which is simply impossible, and
Hmm.
we should simply drop and go back to the regular stuff because there's better money, easier life, and uh, you know
Right.
not as much of resistance. But then when we look back, and even today when we have to make choices, we feel that if we make choices which are going to be soulful for ourselves, we are
Yeah. Right.
feeling better, we are having a better sleep, we are having better health, and it gives us more peace. So somewhere we find our journeys may not be as high impact as we would want them to be, may not be as high profits as we want them to be, but we definitely feel more fulfilled making these
Mm-hmm.
choices. So in life, we have to make those choices as to whether we are going to make money, because there's no end to
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So, and it's not like I don't love money. I love money. I love luxury. I love all those things. But then between money, between luxury, and between a lot of other things, if we have to make a choice, we would rather choose a balance. We would rather choose what is it that we can do to make money happen without the damage which it may cause.
Yeah.
And we can still be planet loving in the choices that we make. So we do have a series of possibilities which are getting nurtured and conceptualized, and hopefully over a few years ahead, we would be able to make a lot of that get launched. And what we are building, be it better solutions, better products, better lifestyles, better communities, which are all better by way of being more planet loving, it starts creating more possibilities. But that itself is going to be a journey in itself. And
Right.
uh, there is a lot to be done. And in fact, we would love to have participation. We would love to have greater community built across multiple parts of the world, because this cannot be an individual's endeavor. And it's impossible to make a difference alone. So we definitely need a lot more people to be partnering, joining, collaborating, and contributing and participating on an ongoing basis.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
very much looking forward, and I'm really thankful to you as well to enable this conversation, because that is allowing us to reach out to more people, hopefully, as well.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And for
Absolutely.
example, I have a curiosity by that. So, how do you help companies identify which stage is for them to start with?
In what sense? Like you're talking about, do we get them to start identifying as to why should they be going for planet friendliness, or
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah? Okay. See, every company has to go through its own journey, and each decision has its own pros and cons. A lot of times, the pros. I'll give you an example without taking the name of a company.
Yeah,
Uh, because a lot of times when we start with an example, the story becomes clearer. The analogy helps us understand the concepts more clearly, and then we can come back to the question about the how of it. You see, like when we were working with a wellness brand which had been selling at lower cost, and the reason why they were selling at lower cost is because they felt that the market is expecting a certain cost to happen, a certain price to happen. So, to match the price expectations of the market, they constantly made certain choices which were of choosing lower cost everything.
yeah,
So, for instance, lower cost sourcing of products, lower cost sourcing of materials, lower cost sourcing of packaging, lower cost sourcing of partners, and lower cost sourcing of logistics, and lower cost sourcing of distribution channels, and everything. The entire business ecosystem was about how do we reduce cost.
right, right, right.
From there, we said that, okay, let's do a prototype, let's do an experiment, let's do a test market launch, and not make choices on cost basis, but make choices on impact basis.
You're right.
Yeah. So uh, when we make such choices, we started reorienting the business ecosystem. We started by saying, let's make choices which are about choosing organic over inorganic plant
Hmm.
providers and plant supply chain. That switch made the cost higher for sure. However, that also strengthened the narrative of the brand. That also strengthened the story of the brand. But we did not stop at that. They used to have sourcing in plastic packaging of organic material. We said this is not going to happen, because if you're choosing plastic packaging for organic stuff, it is going to reduce the efficacy.
Yeah,
So
yeah, right.
let's go for glass, which is of pharma grade glass, of medicine grade glass, and let's switch to that as a prototype packaging. So we got them to switch. There again, the cost of operations, the cost of sourcing again went up. Uh, However, the efficacies also went multifold and increased significantly when they started deploying the product and the testing of that product.
Hmm.
From there on, we switched to saying that, okay, how do we communicate it? How do we make it more visible? So you see, the entire journey. Earlier, they were, let's say, selling things at about 100, and they were buying it at a 50.
Yeah.
We got them to source it at a 200, and they managed to sell it at 1,000,
Hmm.
because people started seeing value in what they were
Right.
sourcing. Plus, as part of the total journey, we helped that the people who were part of sourcing, planting, farming, we created a community that would start supporting them at a ground level. So part of the earnings started becoming reinvested into ensuring that people are able to generate the right quality of inputs, ingredients, and strengthen the story even further.
Yeah.
So you see, that give them the confidence of feeling that making planet loving choices does not
Okay. Yes.
mean there is not going to be business happening anymore.
Yeah.
There are people who are not wanting such products.
Yeah. I see now. I see now.
Unfortunately, majority of the audiences today are not aware as to what are they eating, what are they wearing, what are they uh, consuming and buying, and what fashion they are following. And in their unawareness, they are constantly buying things which are actually not right for them and not right for the planet either.
Yeah.
However, there is a growing percentage and a growing population worldwide of people who are more sensitive, more aware, more conscious, and more desirous of brands to start giving them the right, genuinely sourced products.
Yeah.
And you see, a large part of the higher cost is not happening because only the product is of higher cost, only the sourcing is of higher cost, but it's happening because unfortunately such number of buyers is still small in number. When there is a larger number of people who want to choose these kind of products and services, the cost will also, what we were selling at 1,000 was not because it was impossible to sell at a lower price, but purely because there were so less number of such people to appreciate and buy initially.
Right.
But thankfully, over the last few years, a larger number of people have started preferring it, and
Yeah.
we are already seeing the 1,000 become 700, and eventually, when even a larger number happens, the 700 will hopefully become 300, which will make it more accessible and affordable to an even larger number of
Right.
percentage of population. But yeah, there has to be something which almost everyone starts making a choice. So I hope this gives you a flavor of how
Yeah.
we start mapping the existing ecosystem. We identify ways of making that particular ecosystem a lot more planet friendly, and then create a strong narrative that generates the demand to make that strong narrative and the stronger planet loving ecosystem to be sustainable in its own ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? But none of this can happen if the end users, the customers, and the people who are actually buying things don't appreciate making purchases of planet loving nature. So
Right.
we all are voting with our money. And every time when we go out and buy, like let's say if we are buying a t-shirt, and if our t-shirt is having polyester material in it, latex in it, or any synthetic material, artificial materials in it, then it is not biodegradable.
Right.
So unfortunately, the fast fashion proponents, be it Zara or multiple others, constantly are in the space of selling things which are not so concerned about how they are getting biodegradable or recycled, or the carbon footprint element of it either. So people get into the fray of buying what is available,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
Uh, Eventually, it should switch. And we are hoping that we will have a way of playing that role of enabling those people to switch as well.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And
right.
for example, when you talk to potential clients, what's the
Yes.
biggest misconception they typically have about what you do?
The biggest misconception is that we are going to be stepping in and making everything tougher and more expensive, you know,
Mm.
because the misconception is that the moment you go environment friendly, you choose organic, you choose this thing, your business model is not feasible. That itself is a big misconception. And the other misconception is, let's say, if we are going to get better ESG scores or try to
Okay.
figure out a carbon footprint getting reduced, then our costs will go haywire and our profits will get eroded. But the reality is that if we do this more consciously, more intelligently, more gradually, the cost element, the business efficiencies element, as well as the brand love actually gets enhanced.
Right.
You see, if we switch from, um, let's say, a fossil fuel, petrol, diesel based vehicle and fleet for distribution, and we switch from that to electric vehicles, initially we may feel, oh, this is electric vehicles, high cost, and thermal power is anyways getting used for generating electricity majorly in a lot
Yeah.
of parts of the world. So how are we really making a difference? But the reality is that initial costs may be slightly higher, but that can be offset with a debt or a loan or an investment getting subsidized. But eventually, on an ongoing basis, we are actually being more efficient, and we realize that the maintenance costs have gone lower. The ease of maintaining the fleet, mapping, monitoring, and doing a lot of other things becomes easier.
Yeah.
So you see, those are immediate benefits which can be accessed. But if we have got, let's say, materials as well, if we constantly are into plastics and we are not willing to switch to biodegradability and biodegradable elements and packaging materials, then we will not have a way of creating that impact. And a lot of times, plastic is overused purely because we feel it's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and we have done case studies around it where there are multiple e-commerce companies which used to use the plastic bubble wrap, and
Yeah.
they constantly had more and more bubble wrap happening because it was cheap. So there was no accounting or no tracking of it. We
Right.
replaced that with a lot more of honeycomb craft paper, which has got similar strengths of protection and providing it. And actually, people started using less of it because it was more easier to see that it's packed well enough to protect it now.
Yeah.
So the actual cost went down of packaging as well. Similarly, there are people who are using, um, metals. A lot of them have switched to aluminum over iron and steel and multiple others.
Mm-hmm.
And aluminum is again a beautiful metal. It's one of the few metals which is 95% recyclable, which means that it's despite multiple rounds and rounds of it being, reprocessed, it does not lose its properties and can be reutilized and recycled almost 95% of it. And
Right.
plus, it has got a lot of weight advantages, resistance advantages, and multiple other elements to it as well. But the supply chain and the business and the decision makers, the leaders, are so attuned to saying that, okay, let's buy steel, let's buy iron, let's buy the other materials, and let's just process and use plastic and get over it with it. But actually, they could do a similar kind of thing with more planet friendly materials
Mm-hmm.
and go for better business profitability, better business synergies,
Yeah.
and better narrative for their brands.
Right. 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 Right.
Somewhere that choice has to be enabled, and that is the role that we play in majority of the corporates and brands and individuals or communities that we deal with and
Yeah.
interact.
I,
Yeah,
I see. I see.
great.
And now, looking at the broader industry, what key trends are you seeing emerge?
Which industries?
So, as a whole, as a planet-friendly business.
Okay, sure. So you see now this industry is a booming one. Yeah. So, like almost a decade and a half back, I had consulted and worked on a few solar energy brands and a few hydropower brands and a few alternative energy brands. And at that time, they used to be struggling purely because there were not enough buyers. They
Yeah.
were, yeah. I equally consulted wind energy brands, and they all, a lot of them have shut shop purely because there was not enough acceptance and belief in what this is going to entail. There were
Mm-hmm.
construction industry people who were trying to be more environment friendly, but they were not able to get into that territories because they felt, oh, there is not enough awareness, there's not enough
Right.
market for it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so it all starts from being more and more aware. A lot of schools today are doing amazingly well. Like I have got two kids. One is a 13-year-old son, and I've got a 5-year-old daughter. And a lot of times they come back from school and have a lot of these demonstrations and elements which are sensitizing them towards being a lot more informed, conscious, and making choices which are more planet friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And they come back and at times say, oh, we should not have a shower, we should actually switch to a bucket bath, because a bucket will consume only that much of set water versus the
Yeah.
shower. So you see, so they have not stopped it completely, but they have reduced it. So earlier, when they were not sensitized, they used to love having a shower because it feels like it's raining and it's got a
Yeah.
lot
Right.
more of sensorial fun to it. Yeah, so they used to have it almost daily. Now they have it almost once in 15 days. The other 14 days, they are sticking to having a bucket bath. And that starts giving them a way of reducing the usage of fresh water.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so similarly, a lot of other such aspects. You see, now this is a lifestyle change. They also, we used to have a petrol vehicle and we have got more electric vehicles at home today. You see, so the sensitization, right? When you mention about the trends are going to happen when a larger audience starts practicing and wanting to love and practice and spread a certain
Right.
emotion, a certain belief, a certain behavior. And thankfully, that is going to happen with the younger audiences. That is what we are all hoping for and we are all seeing, you see, because a
Yeah.
lot of younger audiences today are not stopping at saying that, okay, it does not matter what I'm buying and consuming and throwing off. I would just keep eating junk and throwing and buying and consuming it. They are saying, oh, I have to start being more conscious because my community, my friends, my teachers, my, you know, people who I look up to are all talking about such things. You see, now that is what is going to be the biggest trend,
Right.
or rather the biggest trend driver. The younger audiences not wanting to buy what is not planet friendly,
Right. Right.
and
100%.
them also influencing their parents to not buy things which are not planet friendly,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that is what will start ensuring that the world starts to switch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And as we wrap up, what's next for Alma Mater? Any exciting developments on the horizon?
well, absolutely. So we are, as I mentioned, we are in stealth mode as of now. So I may not be able to reveal a lot of what is under development. However, we would love to continue partnering and empowering and enabling brands which are choosing to go more planet friendly and choosing to be more planet friendly. At the same time, we are also creating solutions which are not stopping at a long customized journey, but having more ready to consume offerings.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned about certain apprehensions, certain points of resistance, which a lot of companies and brands would have. So, one of such points of resistance used to be, oh, this is going to be taking a lot of time and it's going to go through a lot of its journey. So, what we have started doing is that we have started studying industries,
Hmm.
getting deeper into what are the different behaviors and ways in which an industry is functioning today,
Yeah.
and having ready made alternatives which will help them switch while being efficient, cost efficient, profitability efficient, and business efficient, so that
Okay.
the rate of adoption, the pace of adoption, and the scale of adoption towards planet friendly practices is a lot faster and a lot more easier and a lot more fulfilling and fruitful for those who want to
Yeah.
partner with us. So
Yeah.
that is what we are focusing on. And a lot of our energies are also going towards using AI more efficiently, because we feel AI is an amazing tool which is helping us study and arrive at recommendations for different industries faster. Plus, AI has a way of ensuring that the deployment happens a lot more efficiently. The narratives are reaching the audiences a lot more meaningfully and in a lot more personalized fashion. So
Right.
those are other aspects that we are building in. And more than that, we are also looking to ensure that we are bringing and partnering with more ground level people and more enthusiasts. We are not stopping at the traditional way of functioning. We are going into a more community oriented, a collaborative approach of making a difference in what we do.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds very interesting. And
Fabulous.
for
Yeah.
listeners who want to learn more or potentially work with Alma Mater, what's the best way to get in touch?
For resellers,
Listeners, yeah.
yeah, so you see, for a lot of those resellers, they are always welcome to reach out to me personally, be it on LinkedIn or on my number. You're free to share my, I'll email you my numbers in case you have not got them yet. So I'll share those numbers with you. I'll share my email ID with you, and you're welcome to reach out, and we could schedule a call, explore synergies, explore possibilities, and continue building a lot more of such possibilities amongst us as well.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, thank you for sharing those insights about you, about the company, about the whole story, and thank you for this amazing podcast session.
It's been fabulous, Alexander. I'm thankful for the conversation, and thanks again for having this wonderful initiative. I wish you the best.
No problem. See you on the next episode.
Absolutely. Looking forward. Thank you.